What's the most embarrassing thing that you did as a kid that you thought was super cool? I stuck my tongue out when I yawned. Why? Well, Mufasa did it in The Lion King, and he was super cool, so surely if I yawned like that I would also be Mufasa levels of cool. My mom took me to the doctor because she thought something was wrong with me. I was diagnosed with being 4. I had one of those 150 color eyeshadow palettes. It was cheap, schmake up. I matched tech color of my shirt dress and my eyeshadow exactly every day through 8th grade. Pink shirt, pink eyeshadow, blue shirt, blue eyeshadow, white dress, white eyeshadow, red and black striped top, one eye red, one eye black. I did this for a year. I jumped off the bleachers with my hand in the air and yelled Mio Mario because my name was called during an awards assembly in 3rd grade. I had been playing a lot of Super Mario 64 in my defense. I would wear an entire arm's worth of silly bangs in 6th grade and specifically wear short sleeves just to show them off. It was how I asserted my dominance in middle school. When I was 7 or 8, I thought being a teenager was the absolute coolest thing that would ever happen to me. I'd use my mom's lipstick to paint fake pimples on my face so people might think I was a teenager. I used to wear those pants that had zip-off bottoms so they would become shorts. I used to go to the bathroom midday to zip them off and hide the bottoms in my backpack in hopes that people would go, "Whoa, weren't you wearing pants earlier? How'd you do that?" I occasionally have an involuntary flashback which makes me cringe. I was at a school friend's birthday party where I took an old Nokia phone my dad had given me to play with. I pretended to call my mum and ask for jam sandwiches when I got home. I made a big deal in front of everyone that I was making a phone call. So lame. I wore a kimono during middle school. My school usually had uniforms, but during a free dress day, 12-year-old me thought it was hella tight and wanted to show my other classmates how cultured I was. I relive this memory every few years and sweat with embarrassment. Wearing my socks up over my pants and then poofing the tops up because I watched Star Trek II and thought the pants in that were futuristic or something. So it was both nerdy and tragically untrue. I was saved only because wearing your socks over your pants did become a trend for a while, minus the poof. One of my favorite cartoon characters wore goggles. I also decided to wear goggles, swim goggles, to school, the grocery store, synagogue, wherever I could honestly, in the middle of a landlocked southern state in the winter. In kindergarten, I wanted to be friends with this one girl, so I would always go to the bathroom at the same time as her and tell her what color my underwear was. I think my logic was that friends share everything, so if she knew something personal about me, we would be friends. Unsurprisingly, we were never friends. In middle school, I wore a plaid suit jacket of my dad's from the 70s. I thought it was hilarious in a so ugly it's cool sort of way, but I probably just seemed desperate for attention. At a high school football game, when I was 10, I was climbing up a couple of steps onto this railing and jumping down knee first onto the floor, like jamming my knee down. It sounded painful, looked painful, but it didn't hurt. So I thought I looked really cool, trying to impress a girl, while older kids and adults were just looking at me like I'm a dipsh. Now I'm 30 and my knee is in pretty bad shape. Dunno how much of an impact, if at all, this had on it, but I wonder. Was a nerd in my teens and the 80s. Bottle top glasses, computer, and science magazines. Terribly matched hand-me-down clothes. Got bullied a lot by the jocks in my class, etc. But, for some reason, despite the fact that I was as stiff as an ironing board, I spent hours practicing breakdance routines to Herbie Hancock's Rocket. Everything from robot, to shoulder wave, to caterpillar, to helicopter spins, dreaming of the day I would get to shine in front of the popular kids. I have too. As a tomboyish girl, I wore loosened neckties to school with a black suede vest and a tank top. I wore that very outfit to picture day, so now there's a commemorative photo of my shame. I wore a wrist sweetband I found on the floor of my middle school locker room non-stop. It was embroidered with, as if I'd care or something to that effect. Also wore it for picture day once. There was a span of the late 90s/early aughts where using chopsticks to hold your hair in a bun, or two buns, was very in. I decided to take this a step further and used 5-inch carbon steel nails instead. No idea where I even found them, and I wore them for the better part of a year. So edgy. Male here. I thought listening to Avril Lavigne and coloring my nails with a black Sharpie made me edgy. I was also afraid of listening to Good Charlotte because that was a dangerous line I didn't want to cross. Dinosaurs are cool, yeah? So acting like a dinosaur should be cool, yeah? So I'll just walk around everywhere with my arms in a raptor-like position. This phase lasted probably over a month. I was a tomboy and had a huge rebellion streak. I chopped off my shoulder-length hair and cut the back a 1/2 inch in length spiked with styling glue every single morning, and the front I had a long side bang I would die. I paired that with slogan shirts like 99% Devil Tomboy and the Happy Bunny shirts. I have a senior photo with my short hair and a shirt that said in between boyfriends I thought I was hot stuff, but now 14 years later I cringe. My parents have a 4x6 framed in their office, so I get to see my embarrassing decision that I thought was super duper cool and made me awesome. Some of the kids started cutting themselves and getting scars. I thought I would be cool and cut myself too. I wanted to cut like a fire emblem into my arm though, so I tried my best to etch one out with a paperclip. It looked more like a water droplet. I don't know if this counts, but in middle school, my best friend at the time tried to convince me she was a werewolf. We would pass notes during class, and she told me that every night she transforms and goes running in the woods with her pack. She says her voice changes dramatically. I said I don't ever hear a difference. After class was over, she started talking in a different voice. The next day in class, she wrote another note that said she wanted to transform me. I was like, heck yeah, I want to be a werewolf. But to transform me, she had to put drops of her blood into a water bottle, and I had to drink the whole thing. So she passed the note with the water bottle, and she said if I didn't do it, she had to kill me because it's against pack pride to be telling normies about them. The water bottle was brand new, by the way. Wasn't even opened, so I know she didn't even do it. I took it and threw it out when I got home. Told her I drank it, and she said she saw me transform last night in my sleep. Never talked about it again with her, but my now best friend and I bring it up all the time and have a good laugh. I 100% believed her, by the way. I was so scared though, so that's why I threw it out. I straight up convinced my friend that I was secretly a clone trooper. The Clone Wars was big at the time, and that at school all he saw was a hyper-realistic hologram. We had an empty lot next door, and I told him that the rocks in it were all droids I had killed. I'm not a sociopath, I swear. I just wanted to feel cool, damn it. It's middle school. I have just finished doing a cover of a Linkin Park song at an after-school gathering. People are impressed. Most notably, my crush at this party was impressed. I seek to impress her more. While in the kitchen area with her friend, and one of my friends that assisted with the cover, I decide then is the best time to bust out a macro song by Blink 182, a cappella. Macro song, you ask? Made up term, perhaps. But it was the very short song in which the singer belts out an uninterrupted string of curse words and slurs. I recited it word for word. It did not have the intended effect. My friend and I had just finished watching Back to the Future. I thought it would be awesome to get on our skates and grab the bumper of a moving vehicle to pull me around. We go to the corner of our street and the first car that pulls up is a Jeep Grand Cherokee. It stops at the sign, then goes to take a right. I grab onto the rear bumper and it pulls me. I thinking I'm the coolest kid ever for a moment. Suddenly the Jeep stops and the driver door opens. It was my mom, and she just starts screaming at me for being so dumb to try this. She had taken her car into service and this Jeep was a rental for the day. Such an embarrassing moment. Back to the Future is ruined for me now. I went through a thing in 7th grade where I was really trying to assert my quirkiness. So I wore paperclips as earrings, and I'd do a different hairstyle that was meant to look like something out of an anime, but they really just resulted in my hair always ending up in tangled knots by the end of the day, which was very painful. I also had wireframe glasses that were bent completely out of shape and were just bad for my face shape. But if you asked 12 to 13-year-old me, I was a badass who didn't care what people thought, unless they thought I was a normie, in which case, I would have gotten very offended. One day when I was 10, I went to school in sunglasses while it wasn't sunny and insisted on calling myself Flash Know-It-All. That's not even close to the most embarrassing thing I did when I was a kid, but it's probably the most embarrassing thing I did that I genuinely thought was extremely cool at the time.